Welcome to another exciting edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. Today promises to be exciting as we'll be looking at very key issues making the rounds. We'll begin from the eastern part of the African continent, where we'll be focusing on Kenya as regards getting an update as regards the protest that has been ongoing for over a month now regarding, first had to do with the tax laws, which was rescinded by William Ruto, the president of Kenya. Now the call is for him to leave office. And history tells us that no Kenyan president has ever been removed from office prematurely. And there are only two routes to remove a Kenyan president, which has to be the fact that he is not, he does not have the capacity, and also via impeachment. So we'll be talking to a South African Broadcasting Corporation broadcast journalist in the person of Aggrey Barasa, who will be giving us an update as regards what's playing out in East Africa, specifically Kenya. Good evening, Barasa. Thank you for joining me on the Desk on Global Television. Barasa, are you there? Aggrey Barasa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm getting it.
All right, thank you for joining us all the way from Nairobi. Let's look at what's playing out in Kenya as regards the protests. First started with the tax law, and now it's the push for William Ruto to be ousted from government. And we know that the coalition led by Azimio La Umoja coalition is pushing forward with this move. How successful do you think this is going to be? And did anybody see this protest lasting this long?
Well, it's very difficult to tell if anybody, first of all, realized that this thing would come to happen and happen the way it has happened. Because it has never happened before. The first time that the youthful generation are coming up with the protests. Initially, we used to see protests that were mostly orchestrated by just everybody, but this time around it was very much specific that it was the youth who arranged this and coordinated it and executed it in a very nice manner. So it's very difficult to tell if somebody really saw it coming or not. It actually took the government by surprise, based on how it was done. You even saw the youth stormed the parliament and caught the members of parliament unaware. So you cannot say that somebody saw it coming or anything of that sort.
All right. How would you assess the role of the Azimio La Umoja's coalition, the role they played in helping the youths organize this protest and the push that has continued? We know that in 2023, as much as he went around trying to get as much as 10 million signatures towards this direction.
I really doubt if Azimio La Umoja coalition, you're talking about that, talk about the opposition. I doubt if they had a part to play in the protests, because if you read from the socials, if you watch the news from Kenya or even the global televisions, you realize that these youth were calling themselves faithless, tribeless, and partyless. So I cannot agree when someone says that Azimio La Umoja was part of the orchestration of the Gen Z protests.
All right. Let's look at the western part of Africa. We're talking about the ECOWAS bloc. In the east part of Africa, where Kenya is a major stakeholder in the Eastern Bloc, would you say the Eastern Bloc community is in support of William Ruto's continuous stay in power?
At the moment, I cannot comment on the support of the East African Bloc in helping William Ruto to retain or stay in power, because we haven't got any official communication from, let's say, the government spokesman of those governments or anything commenting on the state of the country and the Gen Z protests. But I think, as it would always be, no one wishes bad for the other, especially the counterparts, the presidents from the other two East African countries. But up to now, I haven't seen an official communication trying to condemn what happened or trying to behave in a manner like to suggest that they are helping William Ruto to stay in power. what is actually helping him to stay in power is some of the things he has done, like coming up with these hollow coalitions, bringing in the opposition into the government. We saw it in the recent appointments where the president appointed. First of all, one of the demands of the Gen Z protest was that the president overhauls his whole cabinet, citing reasons such as opulence and corruption in office, embezzlement of public funds. So the president was compelled to overhaul his cabinet. He sent all the cabinet secretaries home, and he came up with a new team. New, I can quote, because of course some of the people who were sent home they came back through the back door. And among the new team of cabinet secretaries, we have seen some of the top leaders of the Azimio la Umoja, 4 members who have come into the cabinet. So that coalition, we can say, is what has saved the president stay in power. And another thing that we can say has saved him from the wrath of the youth is dropping the finance bill, which was bringing. Sorry.
All right.
The finance
Talking about
bill,
the finance bill, let's look at the fact that for William Ruto, 2027 is when the next elections will be coming around. Before 2027, there are only 2 routes to get him out of government, which has to be the impeachment or the fact that the National Assembly moves to either investigate whether he has the mental and physical capacity. How do you see this playing out? Do you think, which of the options do you think at the end of the day might be pursued by the National Assembly?
We only had 2 ways of getting there was only one way of getting the president out of office, and that was through the demonstrations, if they really continued. And but at the moment, the protests have ceased, and I really doubt if there can be any other way to get the president out of office, unless we go the ballot way in 2027. Now that a majority of the members of parliament in both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, belong to the party which the president is the party leader. So I doubt if there is any other way to get the president out of office at the moment.
All right, looking at the political parties in Kenya, what's their body language towards the push by Kenyan youths and civil society organizations to ensure that Ruto doesn't remain in power?
Most of these political parties wanted to take advantage of the youth, the platform led by the youth to author the president. But I can confidently confirm that the plan is not there. The plan failed because the youth remain adamant of the fact that they are tribeless, they are partyless, and they are faceless. So I really doubt if anybody can come and cling on or take advantage on the protests and say they want to advance their interests. Although experts argue that ODM, which is a party under the Azimio la Umoja coalition, which is the opposition, that they have taken advantage, and they are trying to cite the reason as the recent move by the president to appoint 4 of its top leaders into the cabinet positions. But I doubt if any party is going to take advantage again to advance their party interests using the Gen Z's process that we are experiencing in the country.
All right, as we wrap up our conversation, let's look at Nairobi and other cities in Kenya. Would you say Nairobi is more active in terms of the protest, and other cities? How would you describe the mood there?
You have correctly put it. The protests were very active, and they were hyper in Nairobi. They were also experienced in other cities like Nakuru, Eldoret, which is the home turf of the president, the towns like Kakamega, Mombasa City. But it was very active in Nairobi. But I can say the magnitude was almost the same, because these youth across the country, they were advocating for the same thing. They had come together, and their goal was very much clear. They had a very common goal. So I can say it was cutting across the country, only that it was very much exaggerated in Nairobi City.
All right, as we wrap it up, let's look at the role of the media in all of these crises and protests in Kenya. Would you say the Ruto's administration has been fair to the media, not winch hunting media houses to, like clamp down on them for the coverage of this protest going forward, and especially SABC, which is a renowned media house across the continent? How has it been?
I cannot say the administration or government was any lenient to the media. There has been, as usual, media harassment. We saw an incident where one of the reporters belonging to working for a Kenyan-based television called K24 was injured by a police. A police lobbied a tear gas canister in her direction, and she was seriously injured. Other journalists, we even saw Larry Mado of a global journalist was also, there was an attempt to lobby a tear gas at him, and he narrowly escaped the harm of the canister. So, I mean, the media has not been left out. Journalists have been injured. Among the many people who have sustained injuries during the protest are journalists. And another role of the media in the protest, I can talk about the social media especially. It really played a very vital role in enabling the youth to coordinate themselves, because you see they never used to the platform X, and that's where they used to plan the protest. That is generally how the media contributed. Otherwise, the journalists were never, most of them were harassed by police. Most of them received the wrath of the government through excessive use of police against the protesters, and that is how it went down.
All right, just one of our messages just dropping in is asking the questions as regards Ruto's cabinet. We know that recently he did reconstitute his cabinet. What's the feeling among the cabinet members? Do you think they're inspired to continue working for him, or they seem to lose some bit of confidence in Ruto's administration already?
Some of them are appearing as if they have already lost confidence in him, but they don't have an option, because they have been put there to help the president propel his manifesto and agendas, to realize the agendas of the Kenya Kwanza government. I even saw those ones who have gotten board from the opposition side saying that if the president wants to dictate them and control their dockets from the State House, they would rather resign. That was a sentiment by one of the cabinet secretaries called Wycliffe Oparanya, who was appointed into the docket of cooperative and small and medium enterprises. So I cannot really be sure, or I cannot guarantee and say that these people, they are comfortable there or anything, but they're there to help the president propel his manifesto and agendas moving forward.
All right, Aggrey Barasa, I want to say thank you very much from SABC for joining us on the desk on Global Television right here in Nigeria. I want to say thank you, and we wish the Kenyan people the very best, and hope that this crisis will be resolved for the interest of the great Kenyan people and the African continent. Thank you for joining me on the desk.
Thank you so much, and have a nice evening.
All right, that's how much we can take from Aggrey Barasa, who is with the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC, joining us from Nairobi as regards updates with the Kenyan protests going on. I will go for a quick break. When we return from the break, I'll be introducing my guests who have been in the live studio as we went to Kenya to get an update as regards what's playing out in Nairobi. When we return from this break, I'll be introducing my guests in the studio, and we heat up with other discourse on the national level. Stay with us.